What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the Engineers Without Filters podcast, episode 137. I'm your host, Jacob Thompson, and tonight I am drinking my last Oberon. Have I been drinking Oberon for the past 5-6 episodes with a spot in the middle where I didn't drink? Yes, but you know what? I wanted to make a John Daly this week because I had still have vodka, but I forgot to get RNEP at the grocery store, so that's on me. Next week, hopefully, we'll have it. So
unforgivable.
Yeah. Also, fun fact: haven't eaten dinner yet, so this probably will hit me a little hard tonight.
You're gonna have some aggressive opinions, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Okay. Then I'm Joseph, and I'm drinking. Just took a DNA test. Turns out I'm 100% that beer, which is a hazy IPA from a brewery in South Haven.
I saw that sitting on our floor, and I'm like, that's definitely on the podcast.
Yep. It's from three. Shout out to three blondes,
right?
Three blondes in South Haven. So this is probably one of my favorite beers that they have, which I think.
They had that there last Christmas when I
yeah.
Because I remember getting it and feeling like a fucking idiot ordering it.
I remember ordering. I just want the DNA, and they're like, "Yeah, we got you. We know it. No one's saying that.
You don't need to say the fucking sentence.
Give me that deoxyribonucleic acid beer."
Exactly. It's a good beer. I like it. So.
Oh yeah, that's a great name.
I'm Gabe, and for those in the video, just got my hair cut like a little bit ago, but I walked. So on the walk there it's Minneapolis. So there's 3 breweries, and one of them has a little to-go order. So bought a Crowler of the Pilsner named Pills.
Very creative.
Very creative. At Indeed Brewing. Absolutely fantastic brewery in Minneapolis.
Very nice. Gotta love Crowler.
Yes. I also bought their IPA Flavor Wave, which we've had on the podcast multiple times.
Mm-hmm. It's a good one.
Very good.
You know, I've never bought a Crowler before, but it's a big one.
They're unwieldy. Like, yeah. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm gonna spill because I just cracked it. But look how small the mouth is and how fucking massive this, like, I don't know, like the actual top of it is.
It's the same size.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Half a growler.
I should have brought. Oh, dude, I should go get my glass from the fucking Oktoberfest.
Yeah.
Oh, because you have one that big. Yeah. See, like, I love growlers because they're like the perfect size if you want to like get buzz without having to get multiple beers. But I guess you have a temperature issue of it staying cold, possibly.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna slam this.
But the size helps a little bit with that.
I also had a beer at the haircut place because they do that, and that was pretty sick. So. I'm gonna be drunk as well.
Me and Gabe will be drunk tonight, man.
I'm gonna be drunk. Let's do it that way.
And I'm dating, and I'm just drinking PBR. PBR, you know.
All right.
The tried and true.
Crowler of PBR.
Oh, dude,
I don't think that last week.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Just because it's still at 30 rack. I haven't even busted through to the second level of the 30 rack yet.
Yeah, I feel you. I'm not drinking as much beer lately.
Nope.
But is how it is. All right, welcome back to the podcast, everyone. As always, you can find our show on Mondays on YouTube as well as podcast services. Go ahead and follow us on our socials and on Twitch. Information's in the description. But yeah, I want to start getting into it this week. We got lots of things to talk about. But first, I want to do our weekly anecdote section. And I'll start because I don't got very much. The reason I haven't eaten dinner yet is because I took a nap today, all right? And I'll be honest with you guys, I've been taking a lot of naps lately. Is it because I stay up too late and then I still have to get up early for stuff and then I'm like, middle of the day, I need a nap? Yeah, that's the reason. But here's the thing. I may or may not have re-downloaded TikTok a couple days ago.
Oh my God.
I found out on TikTok today that apparently in China, for like everyone, they have 2 hours for lunch and a nap. So like if you go to a school in the middle of the day, these kids are just napping. If you go to a workplace, people are napping in the middle of the day. I'm like, do I need to go to China? Probably not, because there's a lot of things wrong with China. But I wish America would adapt that culture.
I don't think that outweighs everything else about the country as a whole.
I'd say I've also heard that the reason they do that is like it's seen as you are committed to the company if you take a nap during work. Like you are working so hard that you need to take a nap.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a very different work
Look,
ethic.
Joseph, I'll give any excuse I need to give. Just let me take a nap, all right? Just let me, because let's be honest, after lunch, we're all sleepy, all right? So let me
Yeah.
just knock that shit out, and then I'll be back to work for the next couple hours and be good to go. So,
But I have
So
a feeling the level of work that you're going to need to perform or studying
it's
is
higher.
much higher than what you're at now and what you want to be at.
that's probably
So,
true.
Tim
Let's
has
just,
a project in Spain right now, and apparently it's normal for them to take like a 2.5 or a 3 hour lunch,
yep,
but they work 12 hours. So like they
right.
work all fucking day and then have like a really long lunch. So you can do stuff on lunch, like people go home and stuff, but then you just have to go back and work more later.
People in Spain also eat at like 2 in the morning. Like they're
Yeah.
like
Siesta,
up.
that's what it's called. I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure
siesta
that's
is the
what it's
midday one,
Mhm.
but they have meals like super, super late at night 'cause people are just kind of still out and about hanging out with people.
called. That's just insane to me. I couldn't do that.
But I mean, their culture is way more laid back than ours. They don't really care about work as much as we do. And that's if it's
I don't know. I don't really care that much about work.
Fair enough. Other things for me this week, not so much, but this last weekend, me and Gabe played a little bit of big team battle in the Halo
yeah.
plate.
Mm.
That shit was fun.
It was really fun. I just didn't have time to play much.
Yeah, we
Nice.
played a capture the flag match where me and Gabe were trying to sneak in with the vehicle and steal the flag. That was really good. It came down to the wire, but there was one point where Gabe was driving a truck with us in it and just ran over one of our teammates and just killed them. We're like, oh,
I
shit.
didn't know you could do that. I haven't played like Halo multiplayer ever, so I just like killed 2 of our teammates. It might have been just 1, but
It was really funny. But we ended up winning. Me and Gabe snuck in on an ATV, grabbed that flag, got out of there, and we won the match. So
it was a fun game.
that was a fun time. And I guess last thing today, I went and got my flu shot. Felt good about that. But the weird thing is they used a Band-Aid I had never seen before. So
do they stab it through the
Is
Band-Aid?
this
Yeah.
There's a little
CVS one?
circle.
yeah, that shit was so cool. Have you heard about this, Dayton? So I went in, flu shot. They like do the alcohol swab, and they put on this Band-Aid first. And I think it was just like a circle, but it's like transparent in the middle with like a
Do you
film.
remember?
It's
Do you
like
remember
medical tape.
Josh's insulin vials that you stabbed through the lid? And I'm sure there's other like medicines
There's a lot of
or
stuff
whatever
like that. Yeah.
that it's the membrane or whatever that you can stab through it. It's like that, but a Band-Aid.
Yeah, so then they did
Interesting.
the Band-Aid first, and then stab. I didn't really realize what was happening, and then so she did it, and like, okay, you're done. I'm like, do I need a Band-Aid? And I was like, oh, it's already on there. Oh, you did it through the Band-Aid? That's pretty dope.
Yeah, it's like
yeah,
some self-sealing type.
So why do they do
Shit.
that?
I don't know, but
I
it was
feel like
cool.
that doesn't save much time, you know? Like you still have to put on a Band-Aid and you still
Yeah,
have to
but it's
administer the shot.
just like a little circle
Yeah, and
rather than
it
like
honestly is like way better. It ended up coming off in the shower later, and it doesn't hurt as bad because it's not like a pressed on like a typical Band-Aid where you have a lot of surface area that like rips all your hair out. At least for me, I liked it. I'm like, let's do this some more. It was a cool little thing. So
Yeah, I had
your
that
flu
for
shot, look out for it.
my COVID vaccine. It was the same sort of Band-Aid for both of them.
That was to seal in the microchip.
Well, yeah, that was part of it.
That's your 5G amplifier, actually.
Oh, yeah. See, they need the amplifier to establish the initial connection, and then once you're
Yeah,
connected, it's
that's the booster to
Yeah.
initiate the connection. Reach it out to the satellites.
Dayton, how was your week?
It's been pretty good, pretty standard. Worked on my motorcycle on Saturday. That was pretty nice. It's the first time that I've worked on my brakes on any two-wheeled thing and it's actually gone well. Every other time that I've worked on my brakes, either my mountain bike or like my old motorcycle in high school, just always went terribly. But this time, I had a friend who has done brake work before on motorcycles, so it went very smoothly, all things considered. It's not perfect right now, but it gets the job done. What else?
It stops.
It stops. It stops. Yeah.
it stops me when I need it to.
That's all that I can
plus.
ask for. I feel like I'm like missing something that I feel like I've done something. Maybe not.
I mean, we can come back to you too.
Nah, that's
If you
fine.
come
I'm boring. Just
feel like I've done
that's all.
Fair enough. Joseph, what about you?
So I went home this weekend. It's supposed to be for a family picture, which, spoiler alert, we didn't end up taking. So that was cool.
Wait,
Uh,
really?
yeah, so it was supposed to be like a beach photo, and it rained that day, and so it was like, well, we can't take it. And I was like, I
Just take it in
drove
the rain, dude.
outside in the rain with a bunch of kids,
Yeah,
little
dude.
kids. That's gonna go super well. Well worth the paying for the photographer
I think
for
you
that.
get some unique photos. That's all I'm saying.
Hey, my mom had this vision and it was not cooperating. So
Yeah, that
they're
doesn't seem like
rescheduling
crazy
it.
calf friendly.
Yeah,
If it
so they're
was in the range photo.
rescheduling it for June. And my parents were like, we'll like fly you out since we didn't get to do it this time. I was like, okay, I'm not gonna complain.
Yeah.
Um, and then before that, I got a tattoo. So that was
What?
Ooh.
I did. I am gonna try to show you guys. It's on the back of my leg.
Oh, you only sent it to our group chat.
Yeah.
Oh, damn,
Ooh.
that's really cool.
It's the UP
That's the one you were
sideways.
thinking about when we lived together. I remember you like looking at and
Yeah.
like trying to kind of design that.
Yes, yeah. Because my cousin now lives in Grand Rapids. He moved
Ah.
from Minneapolis. So while I was home, I visited him, and we'd been planning this out like a couple weeks in advance. So it wasn't like I showed up, hey.
Give me
Um,
a tattoo.
but yeah, so had that done. So it's healing right now. I actually took the bandage off today. And it looks good, better in person than I'm sure it does on this
I
tiny
mean,
video
it still
screen.
looked
But
dope as fuck.
Yeah, it's
yeah,
bigger than I
I'll
thought it was gonna
send
be.
I'll send you guys a better picture after this. But
Wait,
yeah,
have we
so
described it for the audio listeners?
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think we need to.
it's just an amorphous tattoo. So it's the UP, right? Because we all went to school up there, and then filled into it is like a pine forest, kind of like silhouette,
Uh-huh.
and then from the top down, it's like shaded to fill in. So it's not like a hard edge on the top of the UP.
Right.
So it
And
kind of gives
it's
it
like
more
your
depth and
it's
huh?
like 3/4 the length of your calf.
Yeah, it's like pretty much my entire calf. Like right where my calf muscle ends is about where the tattoo ends. So it's a good 4 or 5, 6 maybe inches long. You know?
How did it
So
feel
So
getting the fill
yeah, I was
work
gonna
done?
say, did it hurt?
it felt like a cat was scratching me very slowly. Um
Okay.
is kind of the best way I can describe
I
it.
haven't
I
been
mean,
scratched by a cat in a hot minute.
I mean,
Doesn't
I
feel
had
good.
cats growing up, or a cat growing up, so like that was it was like once it started, it was like that feels like when my cat would scratch the shit out of me because I was terrorizing it. Um, but I mean, I wouldn't say it hurt. I mean, it did hurt, but it wasn't like unbearable. There were a couple points I was like, all right, we wrapping up soon, but
Yeah.
it wasn't. He had like two needles, and I could definitely tell the difference between the two, like one for the lines and then one to fill it in
Hmm.
Mhm.
and different sizes and stuff. I could tell the difference.
How
But
long
no,
did it take?
it like 2 hours, I think.
Well, that's
So
not too bad.
no, it wasn't too bad. But it was. I almost got it because he was like, I don't know if I like it sideways like that, on your calf, because it's like then the trees are sideways and everything. So I almost got it along the inside of my arm.
I feel like that'd be much
But
more painful.
I was gonna say. I feel like that would hurt more.
Yeah.
yeah, and then this way, at least like with work, it's a lot easier to cover up. Whereas like if
Mhm.
I'm wearing like a short sleeve shirt, my arms
Right.
are long enough that it would stick out, and so it kind of defeat the purpose. So for a first tattoo, I'm very happy with it, and so yeah.
So when's
Last
the
question.
ass
How did
tag?
you decide? How did you decide which way up it was gonna go? Because like it's along the length of your calf, so like is the bottom is facing the inside or the bottom facing the outside?
So I think west is up is how I have it oriented.
Okay.
And so to me, that makes the most. I don't know why that makes sense to have it that way. I guess you read left to right, so then when I tilt my leg with my heel out, it's flat, if that makes sense.
Right. Okay, yeah, I got
You know, versus like pulling my heel in is a
Right,
little
right.
less natural.
Okay, cool.
So
That's awesome. I didn't know you were. I mean, I remember you looking at that too. I totally forgot about it, so that's cool. You went and did it.
yeah, and then the fun part was I didn't tell my mom about it until I was walking out the door to go get it done. So she was real happy about that. But yeah, no, the next day she's like, "All right, let's see it. What What'd you end up getting?
Oh, you didn't even tell her what it was.
No, I said I was gonna be across my face, and then I walked out the door.
Oh.
Gonna pull Post Malone.
Dude, Joseph, you should
So I
have
was like,
gotten
it's gonna be on my leg. It's the back of my
You
leg.
should have got a temp tattoo on your
That's what
face.
I was
It's
gonna
very
say.
good.
You should have got a temporary tattoo that's like a joke, and then like put it
Yeah.
on like the back of your other leg, and then just be like
Ooh.
psych, and then pull up the other leg that actually has the real one.
Nah, my cousin was like, we can do like a temporary thing on your face if you really want to freak out your mom. And I'm like, no. As much fun as that would be, I don't think she would appreciate it.
Be pretty
No,
funny.
that'd be something she probably wouldn't be able to laugh about for like 5 years.
Yeah.
I agree.
But what about?
yeah.
Go ahead.
I would say no, that was it. It was all went well, even though I didn't end up getting the photo. But
Yeah.
still a good time visiting with my family. So
Very cool. And Gabe, how was your week?
I had to check the calendar to see when the last time we talked because I couldn't remember. We recorded on Monday last week, so I don't think
Yeah,
I
so it's
talked.
been a minute.
Did I talk about the concert I went to with my boss? I don't know if I did that.
No, not on the podcast. Me and you talked about it this weekend.
Yeah. So I went to it was a double headliner. It was Lamb of God, which is a very metal band, and Megadeth, which is, I mean, they're still metal, but they're not like screaming the whole time type of a band. With my boss, which was interesting. He tried to throw me into the mosh pit a couple times. Didn't work out. He tried to get me to crowd surf a couple times, and we were just too far off to the edge. So it was an interesting experience. His music is definitely like super heavy, like way more heavy than me. Like listens to the ones where you can't read the band tees because the font's all droopy and like scratchy. But it was still fun. It was interesting. Had a couple soccer games. I lost like my last 2 soccer games. I filled in for one of my coworkers, and nobody showed up except like 2 guys, and it was 3-on-3. So it was like, fuck, that sucked. It was literally so much running, and we were just so dead. And like the first 5 minutes, we were fine, right? And then they sub out, but they subbed out all 3 guys, so they had a fresh like fucking set of legs, and we're just like, we looked at each other. I've played with these guys never. Like it's like, it's gonna suck. Didn't win. Then the game I had last night with the league that I joined, I talked about that a couple episodes ago. Our goalie forgot his soccer bag before he left for work. So we had an extra pair of shorts, and he had enough shirts or whatever, but you need shin guards to play. So he like cut up cardboard that he found laying around and stuffed his socks to make it look like he had shin guards.
Oh my god!
And he didn't have cleats, so like that wasn't a good.
He's wearing like work shoes, wearing like business casual shoes.
Oh, he was business casual but he had like street shoes, like kind of like skater shoes almost. Yeah. You know. But it was turf, so there's like it's not like grass where there's at least some grip. It's like it's turf. You need cleats to have grip. So we lost that game as well. Some guy managed to get a card in a rec league because he was just like being so reckless. He hit like 2 of our guys balancing when he was taking a shot. There's some people. Okay, I just got a small rant, dude. I'm in a co-ed rec league, so it's like low end, right? Like it's just people having fun. You know, I'm you guys know me. I'm a very competitive person, but this is co-ed rec, so I don't give a fuck. Like I still play, and you know I want to win. But some people are like bodying you the whole time, like try-harding the whole time, and it's like, guys, fucking relax. So this guy was try-harding the whole time and like shoved down 2 of my teammates and got kicked out for the rest of the game. It was hilarious.
It should never keep surprising me. It always surprises me. Like no matter what level of sports you are doing, there will always be those people, and it's just like. Who hurt you? Like what is your problem? Like why is it always happens no matter what?
And see the thing is there's definitely leagues that are more competitive within the same company that like does my like not what's the word manages the games that I play and stuff. But they just still don't. They still play the low like Like I'm in the bottom tier, you know. They still manage to like try hard that. It's like it's supposed to be the most casual one. Go up.
Smurfing, man. They're like, I'll
Yeah.
have a chance of winning if I do the easier league, and they take it way too
Exactly.
seriously.
It's like stop smurfing, go up to the actual competitive level where you're like
Mhm.
equal with everyone else, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking let us have fun. But
Well,
no,
and it's different if somebody's like good at soccer and they're just like, yeah, I'm just like not gonna like be physical or try that hard.
right.
Like, because I mean,
Well,
we
so
do
okay,
that like in some of the leagues that I play in. Like, we'll like play down and we'll just like mess around. Like, we won't like sweat, I
Right.
guess. Like, I mean, we will sweat, but
Yeah.
we won't be sweaty in terms of
Yeah.
like playing the game.
right. I mean, because
Like,
it is the lowest of the low level, like I'm definitely like at the top end, right? Just because I mean, there's people who haven't played soccer before,
Right.
who are just playing for fun because it's for fun, and I've played forever, so I'm like honestly on the top level, but I'm not like fucking throwing punches and like throwing
Right.
people down and swearing at the refs. But there's people fucking swearing at the ref in a co-ed league that's just supposed to be for fun, and half the people haven't even fucking played soccer before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like I just don't. I don't get it. I just don't.
I know.
I don't know.
I mean, it just reminds me of when in Broomball, when we back at Tech, we played against the alumni team. And it's like, if they wanted to be sweaty, they could have beat us like 20-1.
But they
But
started
instead,
fucking around towards the
they're trying to
I-
get a header goal. And they did.
Yeah.
And it was awesome.
Yeah.
And it was
That's what
way
I
more
mean.
fun that way.
Some people just can't relax like that, even when they're up that much. It's just like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
Frustrates me. Still
Yeah.
fun. It's still fun to play soccer again. Like I probably said the last 2 episodes, but I've been really enjoying getting back into the swing of it. I haven't played it in a while, so
Oh, yeah.
it's been a good ass time.
Love to see it. Yeah, let's get into the topic. And the topic is going to be a few different, I don't know what it's called. I don't know, they're not rankings, they're not comparisons. Like, okay, what's the best thing in this category? And I'm going to start with mine first. I think it'll be pretty short. But I had this epiphany recently where I'm in Indiana, in the middle of, well, kind of middle of Indiana, and the weather here is fucking weird. Okay, I kid you not, it's like the exact definition of if you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes. I don't know if it's because it's so flat but the weather moves really fast through here. So like I was sitting in class one day, looked out the window, bright and sunny. Look away, look back, pouring rain. Look away, look back to being sunny again. Like it's just weird. But I've noticed around here, whenever it does rain, the vast majority of people use umbrellas. And that just kind of like made me pause because I feel like we were at Tech, it didn't rain a ton, but I feel like most people wore rain jackets. And I was talking to Alyssa about it, and she was saying it's probably because of the humidity here. Like when it's more humid, you don't really want to wear a raincoat, so you're just going to be just like
Sweating
keeping
inside.
all that sweat
Where
inside.
do you want to be wet?
Exactly. As opposed to an umbrella, you can just have it on you whenever it's going to start raining randomly, and it'll be cooler. I personally don't like umbrellas. I like having my hands free, but I might have to just get one for here because the rain is so infrequent. You know, it'd just be nice to pop it open as opposed to like pulling out a raincoat on my backpack and putting it on.
Get one of those umbrella hats, and then your hands will be free.
There you go. But I just wanted to get your guys' take on umbrella versus raincoat, and also if you've noticed any regional differences from your travels in life.
I have noticed regional differences for sure. Not even I would go even so far to say as worldly differences, national differences. In New Zealand, I don't know if you noticed this, Jacob. People didn't wear rain jackets. They didn't use umbrellas. If it rained outside, they were just like,
They just took it.
"All right, I guess I'll just
I'll
walk
get
through
wet."
this." And I remember seeing that. And like, meanwhile, like I've got like my rain jacket on, like my backpack's got like a built-in like rain cover, and like I'm like prepared for the rain. And I just see people outside wearing like jeans and like sweatshirts when it's like pouring rain, and I'm just like, what the fuck
Sweatshirts
is
and
that?
rain is like the worst fucking combination.
Yeah, so like I just don't understand it. But now, like at like working, like if it rains in the morning, I see a lot more people with umbrellas, and I don't like umbrellas either. I think that umbrellas, like in the wind especially, it's like
Yep.
sure in straight downpours, right? Umbrellas are perfectly fine. But when like the rain is actually going like side to side any amount, or if it's windy, it's like the umbrella is useless.
You're fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that. What about you, Gabe?
Okay, so I just bought a new rain jacket, like a nice one from REI. all through college I had an umbrella. I never really thought about it, and then I got a rain jacket, and I just kind of saw the light. I feel like rain jackets are the way to go. And it's interesting that you bring this topic up because the last time it rained, I walk to the gym like every day. So I walk to the gym when it rains. It's fucking -15. I was like, they fuck it. Unless it's like dangerous for my health, I usually just walk. So I bring up my rain jacket. It started raining or whatever. Pop it on. I see a couple people with with umbrellas, but honestly, most of the people are wearing jackets. And I almost thought to myself that it was a generational thing versus a regional thing. Where some of the people I saw with umbrellas were older. I don't know when like rain jackets. I'm sure they've been around for a while, but I don't know when they got popular. But to me, I mean, granted, the neighborhood I'm in is very young. Like it's usually 30s and below, maybe mid 30s. But almost everybody within that age bracket had a rain jacket, and some of the older people who were just going on walks or whatever had an umbrella. And that was the observation I made. But that was just one event. I can't.
No, I noticed that as well. I think that's also definitely a factor. I think it's because that was popular at the time, or like the most. Even if you watch like old movies, I feel like you just see a lot more umbrellas, which maybe is like not a good thing to bring up.
Maybe it's a cinematography thing, though. You know, it's more dramatic with an umbrella than a.
I think it has to do with technology, honestly.
That's what I was thinking too. Like you think of like old rain jackets, and they're like
rubber
rain slickers.
Yeah.
Like this is like I'm going out in a hurricane. I'm wearing this. Well, they called them rain slickers. Like you had like the full pants and boots that all like connected into one piece.
Like you're going fishing.
Yeah. And I think that's, just a very different, like they didn't have nice Goretex that you could fold into its own pocket, throw it in your backpack and call it a day.
Dude, that's such a cool perk.
Speaking of Goretex just made a completely new version of it, and it's going to be releasing next fall/winter.
New drop.
What? I didn't. You broke
it's a new drop.
New drop. Yeah, dude. It's honestly sick. Like I'm really pumped for it. It's called EPE Goretex, and it's like expanded polyethylene, I guess. And from an environmental standpoint, it's sick because it doesn't use fluorocarbons, or maybe it uses fluorocarbons, but just not as much. So that's better because like fluorocarbons are like fucking the environment because we don't know how to like remove them. And it's also thinner, lighter, and more packable than regular Goretex is, like standard like 3-layer. So I'm like super pumped about this because I've had my rain jacket now for 4 years ish, and I'm like, yo, next year get the new best of the line Goretex, and I'm just like, oh mama.
Are you gonna get like Arc'teryx or like some fancy ass brand?
Most likely.
Yeah. I was just thinking like, what brand is this man gonna buy? And that was like the first one that came up.
Get that Arc Daddy.
I mean, they make nice shit. It's just the money, man.
Yeah.
Dude, Joseph, do you remember in fucking Jackson Hole there was that group of like Arc Daddies? They all had like brand new
out.
like
I swear the tags were still on them.
Yeah, they were brand fucking new, but they had the snow pants and the jacket, and it was like that was. We looked it up; it was over $1,000 for both.
Yeah, I mean, the jacket was probably at least $500 or $600, and
I mean that was like a winter jacket, right? So like it's gonna be more, but it was like fucking nice.
But those don't have any insulation on them. They're just
a shell, right?
It's a shell. It's basically a raincoat. It's a raincoat with better pockets.
I don't know.
That's what it is.
Yeah. That's how I use mine as a shell. In the winter, I use it as my windbreaker, and then I wear like a sweatshirt underneath with like a long sleeve t-shirt underneath that, which I layer up.
See, that's what I think the benefit of a rain jacket is you can use it as like a windbreaker and like a warmer shell jacket rather than an umbrella, which you have to dress with the weather on top of having an umbrella.
And whereas hope you can the wind is in your favor.
Yeah. Whereas with the rain jacket, that is your warmth. That is your. I mean, assuming you want warmth. If it's a hot summer rain, then like I could see the benefits of an umbrella. But yeah, like I keep an umbrella in my car, but I rarely have used it. Maybe once or twice.
Right. And that's the thing. I think due to the unique climate here, I probably will end up getting ones because, like I said, the rain is just so random. It's like it's just easier to like have it in my water bottle holder, in my backpack, and just pop it out and do it. But I agree. Overall, I think the rain jacket has a lot more function, and it's just better. Granted, like if you're wearing like a backpack, your backpack's gonna get wet. But it's like I don't know. Backpacks pretty waterproof these days. It'll be fine, unless like a super old school one. Um, I did see one girl on campus one time. I was walking. She had this a massive clear poncho just covering herself in her backpack. And I was like, "That's a look," Like,
Hey, those work.
yeah,
I've
they
used
work.
those.
I see those a lot at sports games. Like if you ever watch like baseball on TV and it's raining, I feel like everyone in the stands has ponchos for some reason.
Yeah, because they sell them there.
Yeah,
Man.
because they
'Cause
sell
they're
them for like
cheap.
50 cents or $1.
Okay, I have one more thing to say about rain jackets. I think they're also like a fashion thing.
Yeah.
Like I think it's like the whole like you look cooler in a rain jacket than you do in an umbrella hat. Maybe that's
Definitely.
not a hot take.
No, I think that's true because Lissa was telling me she's from Oregon, and in the Pacific Northwest, you will never see an umbrella. It's all about. I mean, it rains a lot there, so it's probably better to have a rain jacket anyway. But it's all, and that's kind of with hiking culture too. I mean,
It's
you're not going to hike
granola,
with an
I
umbrella,
think, too.
granola. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you can pack it into a pocket, its own pocket. It's pretty cool.
All right, well, let's get into our next discussion. And Dayton, I'll let you choose which one of the two you want to start with here.
Let's start with apples.
Okay. So we're just discussing what is the best apple. Am I correct?
Yeah, or not necessarily the best, but what's our favorite apple? Because apples,
I think we need to figure out what the best is.
dude, on what
my God.
criteria? Like we can't.
But
There's so many different.
There's
types of
no
apples.
like scientific definition.
All right,
of
all
the
right.
Also, the
apple.
best for what? There's
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
baking.
Yeah, the best
versus
like
that's a good
eating
tart
versus
one would be like some garbage apple like a Granny Smith that fucking sucks and shouldn't exist.
Gabe going with the hot takes.
Granny Smiths are not good.
Dude, Granny
I'm just gonna
Smith
say
can
it.
fucking kiss my ass.
I think Granny Smiths are an abomination of genetic mutation.
I
Like,
agree.
They just fucking suck.
If you handed me a Granny Smith apple, that apple would be on the ground sooner than you can fucking say Granny Smith apple. They're literally just
I'll be
the
honest. I don't know
worst.
the last time I had Granny Smith. It must have been like when I was like a kid, like elementary
I don't think
school.
I've ever eaten a Granny
Okay,
Smith.
I
Don't.
think that my dad loved Granny Smiths. If you're listening, you gotta text, or actually, I'll text him afterwards. I can't remember. For some reason, I remember having a lot of them as a kid, and then just thinking they were okay. But it was like one of the few. I only had Granny Smiths and Red Delicious, which I think Red Delicious. We'll get into that later. I just think they just were like very, like I didn't see the light, until Honeycrisp came into my life. But
Well, let's slow down. All right?
yeah, no, I'm
Pump
not
the
trying to like
brakes.
jump the gun. I
So-
just want to put my hatred for Granny Smith out there immediately. I think
That's
they're not
fair
good.
Now, before we move on, so for Granny Smith, are they better for apple pie though?
Yeah,
Am I
they're good
making
for
that up?
baking.
Are they like a baking apple?
Yeah, they're good for
Yeah,
baking.
you generally want more of a tart fruit for baking. It's same thing with like blueberries. Sidebar, but like for like baking, it's like we have a specific variety that we recommend for like pies and stuff because you're able to add more sugar and control the sweetness better. So you would want like a Granny Smith for that.
That
Are
makes
apple
sense.
pies like always Granny Smith, or do
You
people go a
can
little
you can
crazy?
use a lot of different types. I was actually looking it up earlier because I actually just went to the orchard to like see what apples they had, and it's basically just like any apple that isn't too sweet, and it also needs to be like firm enough because if it's not firm enough,
Right.
then like it'll just like dissolve into slop. So like if you were to use like a honeycrisp or like a golden delicious or something like that for a pie, it would just be like applesauce essentially. It would taste
I
good.
just googled what are the best apples for apple pie, and Honeycrisp is the top one on this list.
I don't buy it.
I mean, take it up with thepioneerwoman.com.
I fucking will. I bet she likes Granny Smith apples too.
Yeah, it's the second one on the list.
So what we're looking at here is I pulled up a diagram of apples from most tart to most sweet. And maybe we'll post this on Instagram so people can reference it later on when this episode comes out. But let's start from most tart and just pick out the ones that we are familiar with and just maybe shoot an opinion at them. So Granny Smith is the most tart. Next up, Pacific Rose. Never heard of it.
Never heard of it.
Macintosh is next. Now, this is an apple I feel like I saw a lot more growing up. Don't really remember it. I feel like I identify as Apple along with Apple computers back in the day.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Doesn't really do anything for me.
Yeah, it's the only way I know it.
Next, we have Empire. I feel like I've seen those at the store. I've never really tried one.
The picture makes
Yeah.
it look like an onion, like a red onion.
That is
Or
true.
like a wax apple, like it's a little
Uh-huh.
too shiny.
It's too
The shine's a
gleamy
little
in this
weird.
photo. I think it's just a bad photo of it, to be honest.
We got Cortland. Never heard of it. Okay, Envy. I have heard of, and I think I bought them every once in a while. So I gotta say something. We lived at Tech. Most of us went to the Econo grocery store, and
I
I'll
think
tell you
all
what.
of us did.
All of us
Yeah.
The
did.
4 of us at least, and most everyone in the house
I
did.
think everybody
This
did.
grocery store had the best selection of apples you could ever want. Okay, so I was often doing my taste to price ratio, which I will get into later on. But sometimes the Envy would just be like on sale, so I'd get Envy. I think they were pretty good. They weren't like blowing my skirt up, but they were pretty decent.
Yeah.
Nothing else said Envy, but
Yeah,
Yeah, and then we get into
I've had
Lady.
most of these, but
what were you saying, Dayton?
I said I've had most of these apples on the list.
Okay. Have you guys strong opinions about Lady apples?
Lady apples are pretty good. They
I've
have
heard of
they have a
Pink
new
Lady, but
variety.
not Act Lady.
Yeah, that's a
Oh,
blend.
they're a new mix.
Is
Uh-huh.
that the new drop? The new drop of
Uh-huh.
apple?
The new apple drop. Okay, now we get into my favorites. So my favorites are these next two, which are Brayburn and Jazz apples. And I'll tell you what, the reason I love these apples is because, as I hinted at before, they had the best price to taste ratio. I don't want to spoil it. My issue with honeycrisp, they're too goddamn expensive. Brayburn and Jazz are just a solid apple that has good firmness and good flavor for a good price. All right, so this is the value apple that is gonna always work out for you. Joseph, give me your take here.
I have a gripe with Brayburn.
Oh my
All
god.
right. So when I went to Pictured Rocks a couple weeks ago, right, for Labor Day, I dehydrated some apples as a snack. And previously for Isle Royal, I think I did either Honeycrisp or Fuji because those are usually my go-tos.
Mhm.
And great results with those. I did Brayburn, and these were a pain to cut. It was not eating them were fine, I guess. Nothing crazy, but like when you would try to cut them, they would always break. These were the most brittle apples I had ever like experienced. Like cutting them, you know, like when you cut like butter and you get part way through and then the bottom of it just kind of like breaks off. You know,
Sure.
that was happening with every fucking slice. And then like I'd pick up the slices and the weight of it would break it again. So these were just very brittle apples and not a fun experience cutting them at like 11:30 at night trying to be quiet because my roommates had work the next day.
I
So-
know that's when you were doing it, but it must have been
Only
pretty
like
quiet.
once or twice.
That
So this is where
fan-
maybe-
Good job.
With my use of apples, the firmness is actually a big plus because when I don't really eat as much anymore, but I do overnight oats a lot, and Joseph knows me, live with me, and I did apple cinnamon overnight oats, so I would grate apples for that, and the firmer the better for that. So the Brayburns work great for grating, and also if I ever ate an apple casually, I always do the circular tool that's just cuts it all into 8 slices because I got
Oh, I
permanent
love
retainer.
that. Those
I got a
things.
permanent irritator, so I can't just like eat an apple normally. Yeah, so I always do that with, like Gabe's saying, do the 8 slices, and it works fine for that because it's all at once, so you don't really get that brittle factor. And I prefer a nice firm apple. So that's where I'm coming at with Brayburn and Jazz. But I don't like the slander I hear every once in a while. You guys taking shots of these apples because they're good. Also, they're from New Zealand, which is a little bonus for me.
Yeah.
There we go.
So I
This next row, I'm not seeing a whole lot. Oh, go ahead, Dayton.
I think that before we get further into this, we need to talk about the most important things to us in apples, right? Because I think
Okay.
they'll give us more
Okay.
insights as to why we say what we do about apples. So, in my opinion, there's the flavor of the apple, there's the texture of the apple, there's the crispness of the apple, and then I would say like the structure of the apple.
Okay.
Do you guys think that there's any
I'm
other?
not sure how those last 3 are different from each other.
Okay, so let me explain to you. Okay, so you can. So what did I say again? I said flavor's easy. I
Flavor.
said crispness.
Yeah.
Texture and structure, right?
Mhm.
So I'll start with crispness, okay? I'll use honeycrisp for an example. When you bite into this, right, you take a big monstrous bite, and then you can just like basically pull the apple away, and it shears off a fantastic piece
Right.
of flesh off of this apple. That's crispness. And texture would be, okay, let's say you get that nice monstrous bite out, and you're like, oh yeah, this is going to be a good bite. And then you start chewing it, and it's just very mealy. Like the grain size of the apple is just too high, and it just is just nasty, like mouthfeel. And then structure ties into crispness, I would say, except in some cases like Honeycrisp, it doesn't have like a lot of like structure that like goes out into it. So like if you were to bite it, I'll say like perpendicular to the core, right? So if you're like hold the core
Yeah,
with your
I
like
got you,
your
I
thumb
got
and your middle finger and you bite it, there are some types of apples. I'm trying to find one that's on this list. I mean, Granny Smith is one of them. There's another green one that I can't think of. I think maybe Macintosh has this as well. But if you bite into it, there will be like hard bits of the core that extend out further.
Oh, it's like a star coming out.
And it's
Yeah.
just, it's very uncomfortable to eat that way.
Right,
So
right.
some apples, like Golden Delicious, doesn't really have that at all. Neither do Fuji's and Galas really either. But those are, I think, the 4 criteria.
Okay. What about, I mean, this falls into your category, and you just mentioned it. How well the skin is attached to the apple and how well it breaks off. What I'm getting at here, if I have like a little apple wedge, if I bite it and then I pull it out and the bottom skin is still like hanging on, not
I
a
would
fan
say
of that.
that's texture, because I think that's the reason why it falls off, is because
Right.
it's got that nasty fucking texture on the inside.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I'm with you. I think flavor is the most important. I think crispness is definitely number 2 because that feeling of biting, that kind of pop of it, like that shear off, fantastic. And then yeah, texture. I kind of like a more granular texture. Um, uh,
Yeah, I'm not
You
there
ever
with you,
bitten an
buddy.
apple that feels like you have sand in your mouth?
Yeah,
well,
I'm
I'm trying to think of like
That
the
sounds like
opposite.
an apple that's expired.
Yeah.
It's like otherwise you want it to like. So you're saying you want it to like disintegrate into like liquid faster?
No.
Or what do you mean exactly?
I want it to be like a little
Firm.
firm,
Yeah.
you know? And I want it to like not just be mush. I don't want to feel like I'm eating applesauce when I'm eating a
Okay,
solid
that's
apple.
fair. Yeah, I'm with you now. Sorry, it was hard for me to think of the alternative. I hear what you're saying, so I'm with you on that. But I think crispness kind of surpasses that for me. And then like that skin thing I mentioned. But yeah, I'm with you, Dayton. I hear what you're saying.
Well, I mean, I think that crispness is the most important factor. Taste, I can live with it. Crispness, though, no, there's no substitute.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think. So then going into this next row, I'm seeing Macoun, Autumn Glory, Opal, Sugar Bee, and Smitten. I
I've
feel
heard
like
of
Smitten's the
none
only
of
one I've
these.
kind of heard of.
I've not had. I think I've had Autumn Glory once, and I was like, eh.
So I have
But
had.
I also okay. I haven't slandered Jazz yet, but I've only had Jazz
Oh, you wanna
apples
slander
twice.
Jazz?
I just don't like them. I don't know what.
What
it
don't
is.
you like? Which of those categories? What don't you like?
I think what I'm learning here, looking at this graph. So this graph, I don't know if we described this part. It starts at most tart and ends at most sweet, right?
Right.
So the most tart was Granny Smith. And that's why I immediately shat on it. I think what I'm realizing is that I like more sweet apples. So I think that might be part of my problem.
That's probably a pretty majority opinion, I would say.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think a lot of these, I'm not an apple geneticist, but I'm assuming some of these more sweet ones are newer inventions or like creations because
The Honeycrisp definitely is, yeah.
Yeah, I know Honeycrisp is relatively new in terms of apples, but I think that's a big part of it. And I remember Jazz Apple's texture being pretty like on the mushy end. But
I remember
could have
that
bought
too.
bad ones. I don't know.
Yeah, because the problem with texture is like the ripeness factor. Because the ripeness is going to affect that a lot.
And that's
Yeah,
possible, but I think it was at a Kano and they had them on sale, and I was like, "Fuck, I'll try Jazz." You know, I didn't like Jazz.
Nah.
I don't
Sorry.
like jazz.
B movie. I don't like jazz.
I agree with Gabe on this one. I remember eating jazz specifically from Meccano, which I mean, granted, could just be, poor crop.
Bad produce section.
It's the
But-
crapshoot up there
Yeah.
sometimes.
But I do definitely remember jazz having good flavor, but
Mm-hmm.
the texture
is
was
all off.
off. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, if I will say, whenever I went to store, Braver was my first choice, and Jazz was my secondary option. But I never had a bad experience with Jazz. I think the flavor was there. I think Christmas was usually there. But that's my opinion. Dane, you were gonna say the ones that you've had in this.
Yeah,
middle row
so I actually just picked some Macoons yesterday. I think I ate one at the orchard too. Incredibly crisp apple. Like
Ooh, okay.
I don't know what it is about it. It's just like very crisp. Probably because I literally picked it right off of the tree.
I was gonna say, did you take it off a tree? Like,
Yeah. And also I don't know how it's only halfway up this list because the one that I ate yesterday was incredibly sweet. Like honestly, that apple probably tasted better than Honeycrisp.
I'm not sure this graph is a linear, like, tart is where, like, Granny Smith is like, it's the most tart, I believe that. But where that is, like,
where
I'm
tart
not
ends,
sure.
sweet begins. Yeah.
Yeah,
I see
I'm
what you're
not
saying.
sure the apple to apple jump is an even gap.
Right.
So,
yeah.
like, say the scale's 1 to 100. It could be Granny Smith's a 0, let's just say, for most tart. But then Lady or Brayburn could be 50. I don't, I'm just saying, like, you don't,
Right.
this doesn't really show, like, how sweet it is, just that it's
Right.
less or more sweet than these apples.
That's a good point.
If I had to guess, I would say, like, everything from, like, I mean, Honeycrisp are pretty sweet apples. I would say they're all pretty close together, and, like, it just gets super compressed near the end.
Yeah.
So,
But yeah, so that's a good point because I mean Macoun and I would say Smitten is pretty close to Honeycrisp. Smitten is very good. That one is a lot cheaper than Honeycrisp, but it has a very similar taste. IMO. If I remember right, it has worse structure than Honeycrisp though. Like it's more stringy. And then Opal, I remember Opal being trash. I remember that apple having like it just being like very mealy. Its texture was just very bad.
Yeah, I think I've had one as well. A yellow apple. I think maybe yellow apples have a worse texture. I feel like that was one of the ones where the skin kind of just stayed on.
Yeah.
And I was just like, get me out of here. Okay, so the next one is Honeycrisp, and I'm gonna start off. Don't like them. All right, I used to like them because they're like, oh, it's so sweet, but now I look at them, I'm like, too expensive. It's like $3.50 a pound, and they're too sweet. I'm sorry, I'm saying they're too goddamn sweet. Too much sugar in them.
I bought Honeycrisp for $1.50 a pound.
Oh my god, that's a
Literally,
steal.
like 2 or 3 days ago. Granted, I think it was one of those things where they're expecting to lose money on the apples to get you into the store. There's literally billboards on this across the city, like, "Hey, our apples for Honeycrisp are $1.50." So I understand the price thing when it's not on sale, right? It's usually $3.50, sometimes more. However, I find it to be the best apple. To me, that's like the peak invention of apple. It's sweet, yet the crispness is in the fucking name. Unmatched, unparalleled. Structure's fucking there. Texture is always great. I don't know. This has always been an apple I've grown up with, and they're like, oh, we got Honeycrisp because it's fall. So to me, it's like the definition of perfect fall apple and just the perfection of apple. Also, they were invented in Minnesota, I believe.
The University of Minnesota. Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know. I hear what you're saying. I agree. The crispness is fantastic, but it's just a little too sweet for me. It's why I don't buy. I buy unsweetened applesauce because apples are already sweet enough. Why you add sugar to it?
Yeah.
Honeycrisp's like you genetically modified it. It was already probably sweet enough. You add up more sweetness. I don't need that. I don't need that.
Sure. I get that.
I
okay,
like
so-
them. I like them. They're not my favorite.
Didn't like some. Joseph, are you on the Honeycrisp hype train?
they're good apples. Here's the thing. Apples are not in my top 5 fruit. So, like, I like a couple apples, but, like, the best apples I've ever had were, like, Dayton, like, straight from the orchard.
Uh-huh.
So, like, from a grocery store, I've never rarely bought apple. It was like when I was dehydrating fruit was the only time I've really bought apples. Other than that, like growing up on our farm, we would trade blueberries for apples essentially. So like these are fresh local apples, like these are the best you get. I love those, but like outside of that, not not a big fan. So like yeah, Honeycrisp are good. Yeah, that's about all I got.
So I see on this chart that Red Delicious are supposedly more sweet than Honeycrisp, and I don't think
It's
that's
bullshit. No, and Gala and sorry, spoiler, Gala and Fuji at the bottom, bullshit. Honeycrisp
Yeah.
would be at the end of this chart for most.
I
sweet.
think Honeycrisp are on the most sweet for sure.
I don't know what kind of metrics they're using, but that's straight bullshit. I'm just gonna say right now, Red Delicious, mediocre apple.
I feel like that's the definition of like middle of the road apple, like your average apple. Like when I think of the word apple and like generic apple clip art, I think of Red Delicious.
And this is another thing with I feel like the Red Delicious. I'm going with the skin a lot. I think the skin matters more than I thought it. The skin is too thick and waxy on the Red Delicious.
Yes.
And it's too hard to like bite into or eat.
The structure of it is just too much. There's too much structure.
It is almost too like thick. With a couple C's, you know.
Hate to see it.
So this is going back to your ordering of the apples that you're just talking about. But I was thinking, because like this is going by sweetness, and Dayton's parameter was flavor. But a lot of people, sweetness and flavor are two different things. It can be very sweet, but not have a strong apple flavor. So I wonder if like Honeycrisp has more sweet and less of an apple flavor, so the sweetness comes out more, whereas the Fuji has more of an apple flavor. Like the flavor is stronger, so that you don't notice how sweet it is.
I think that's a good point, Joseph. Because I think the reason I don't like Honeycrisp, they taste like more like sugar than apples to me. And I don't need that much sugar flavor in my life, you know.
Yeah.
So I think that might be true. Another one in between Honeycrisp and Delicious is Snapdragon. I've seen that around. I don't think I've had it, but I think it's a pretty crisp apple if I remember correctly.
I've had them. They're pretty good. I would put them pretty equal to Honeycrisp.
Snapdragons? I have not had those. That's what
And
my phone has.
Gold Dragon, I think, or Gold Delicious. I think it's the same issue as the Opal, where the skin is too thin almost, and it kind of has the opposite issue.
Okay.
I remember Gold Delicious being pretty good.
Okay.
Let me like
just
Gold Delicious is fine if you like a yellow apple, but it's just not up my alley.
See, I don't know if you guys just have not had Golden Delicious from the orchard or not, because
okay, but hold on, Dave. Anything from the orchard's gonna be way better than in a store. So like that's kind of
I would agree, except I think that for Golden Delicious, this is for whatever reason.
Not all of these apples are gonna have the same shelf stability. Like that's just some fruit. Like there's different varieties of blueberries where it's like, oh, these are gonna go in storage. This is the variety we want to pack for that. You know, there's some varieties just hold their flavor and texture and everything better.
Yeah, so like Golden Delicious, I never buy these in the store. Whenever I buy them in the store, they're incredibly mealy. Texture is terrible. A lot of the time, the structure's off on them. I don't know why. But fresh, I think they're better than Honeycrisp fresh. And also, you can literally get Golden Delicious apples that are literally like the size of softballs or bigger.
They are huge.
They get monstrous.
And I just, one of my favorite things is finding the biggest fucking apple I can find at the orchard. And I've literally think I found like a pound plus apple before. And crispness off the charts. Taste, I think that it tastes better than a Honeycrisp fresh. Golden Delicious is my favorite as long as it's fresh.
Okay. So you're saying if this was a chart that if we were ranking from the orchard, Golden Delicious would be pretty high, but if we're just doing it in the store, very low.
Yeah.
Okay, I feel you on that one. The last bits here we got John and Gold. Haven't heard of it.
Gold's good
with an I. John Gold's good. Okay.
Yeah.
Juicy with an I. What's that name? Get out of here. Then we get the last three: Ambrosia, Gala, and Fuji. And I gotta say this right now: Gala and Fuji suck ass.
Wow.
What?
They're always too mushy. I feel like the window
is good, dude.
No, I feel like the window of ripeness is too narrow. Like if you buy like a bundle of Gala, maybe I'm conflating too much, but I can't remember which one I hate more. If you buy a bundle of these and there's like one day they're gonna be good, but then otherwise they're gonna be like not good, like too like not ripe enough or just mush. I've just had bad experience with these apples, and I don't like to buy them if I could avoid it.
Interesting.
I think I've only had good experiences with Fuji apples.
I feel like
Granted, I don't
Fuji-
buy apples very often. but-
Yeah. I don't know.
I
I feel like
agree.
Fuji is my second choice to Honeycrisp, and I usually go. Okay, I either go Red Delicious or Fuji, just because Red Delicious are usually really cheap and solid. Like they're very
Yeah.
mediocre. But like if I go step up and it's like not in season, I go Fuji. Like Fuji just to me is always like the second choice for me. It's always pretty good.
See, I think so. Fuji, I would agree. Very solid apple. Gala, I agree with Jacob. It's a lot of the times in stores, it's just very mediocre, very mealy. Um, Yeah.
Okay, maybe I'm thinking they're the same because
I
I
guess-
can never remember which one is which. Maybe it's Gala that a complete ass.
My
Yeah,
experience
I
with,
don't like
with,
Gala
with
really.
Gala is not very. I don't have a big track record with them.
I
I think I
think-
bought them like once.
I think Gala is mostly used for cider, though.
That would
I
make
think
sense if it's already
got
mushy.
more of an it's got more of an apple flavor. Because I mean, if you get good cider, it'll say like what apples it's made from,
Right.
and usually, from what I've seen, it's usually Gala. So it could just be it's just better for that and the pretty ones they sell in the store.
And do you have any
Jaden.
takes on Ambrosia?
Ambrosia's a
never had
decent
that one.
apple. It's not remarkable. It's definitely above average.
Gabriel,
Jacob,
say something. Yeah.
I have a question for you because you're nutrition thingy.
Mm.
How much sugar do you think are in a Granny Smith, and how much sugar do you think is in a Honeycrisp? I googled it, so that's why I know the answer.
Oh, you're quizzing me right
Is
now?
it per
I'm quizzing
gram?
you.
Like normalized?
It's
you're
in
saying grams
grams.
per
Yes,
gram?
correct.
Can you tell me how different, like what the difference is, so I can just have some semblance of a guess?
Like a factor.
Like if you subtracted the most, like if you subtracted Honeycrisp
there's a
from
difference of
Granny
10
Smith-
grams.
Okay, that makes sense. I don't know. I'm saying Honeycrisp has, I'll say 14 and 4.
It is 19 and 9, which is pretty close, honestly.
So
So,
Honeycrisp
Yeah,
has
19
19.
grams of sugar in
Yes.
one. That's a lot of sugar.
It is. I mean, it's fructose, right? It's not like
It's not corn syrup. I don't know. I'm not saying it's bad for you. Everyone should be eating more fruit and vegetables in this country. We do not eat enough, and you're getting way more micronutrients that you definitely need. I just don't need that much sweetness for my personal flavor preference. I prefer a more tart, like a Braeburn apple.
I just thought it was interesting to see because like I'm looking at this most tart, most sweet, and I was like, okay, how much fucking sugar is
Right.
in Granny Smith? How much is in?
How much is in Fuji? Can you look that up? 'Cause that's the most sweet on this list, at least. I'm just curious of how
Oh,
it
sure.
relates
Let
to
me
sugar.
stall for a little bit.
I hope it's
I-
like
Well, while we're
19 and a
sawing.
half. Like it's just
It's
so
barely
minutely
more.
different.
Talk about Johnny Appleseed or some shit. I don't
Johnny
know.
Appleseed, I'm pretty sure is the reason. I'm maybe shooting from the hip here. So I'm from Apple Valley, Minnesota. I'm pretty sure it's because Johnny Appleseed or whatever grew a bunch of apple trees there.
He grew up
Might be making that up.
everywhere.
Yeah, but like we
That's
got a lot
like
of
his
apple
deal.
trees in the valley.
Okay, so aren't apples like mostly like don't a lot more grow in the Midwest, or am I making that shit up? Like, is this a Midwest thing, or do they
I
get
don't
grown
know.
in the West Coast?
I don't know. I mean,
There's probably a bunch on the West Coast. if
Fuck,
had
I gotta
to
Google
guess.
that too.
it could be a
Oh.
climate thing, and Midwest has a colder climate. Sorry, go ahead, Dayton.
I was just gonna talk about the different apple varieties that I've had recently
Oh, yeah, go
that
for it.
are not on the list. There's Crimson Empire, I think is what it's called. It was supposedly a very tart apple. Like I looked it up and like great for baking, like not too sweet. I picked one of these things off the tree and I ate it, and it tasted fucking fantastic. It wasn't tart at all. So like, and I don't know like if it's just because it was so fresh or what.
Right.
But it wasn't very tart to me.
I
And-
think the orchard factor is very strong. You know,
Yeah.
so it's hard to be
Well, that's why I
objective with
asked
the orchard
to see if
factor.
that was just a Midwest like privilege of ours, you know.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Also, apples are like, it's difficult to compare apples to apples, right? Because how many apples can you eat in a sitting to compare them? Like,
I had
can
4
you eat
whole
like?
apples yesterday.
But that's my point. Like,
And they were big
if you have something
apples.
smaller, like blueberries, because that's what I know, you can have like 6 individual blueberries and like be fine, and like you could try 30 varieties and not like bat an eye at
Right,
it.
right.
Granted,
Yeah.
I don't know how much difference there is from like specific apple to apple, right? Like, did Dayton grab a sweeter one that he just happened to be sweeter, or what?
And also a
Gabe, I
factor
beat you
that
to it,
oh.
possibly. Oh, go ahead, Gabe. Or
I have
Dave.
Oh,
Dane's go. Go.
one I noticed this yesterday. The apples that I picked that were like basking in the sun and they were like warmer. I don't know what it was, but like the side that I bit into when it was warm was much sweeter.
It has to do with the water in it moving around, possibly.
Yeah,
Like
I don't know.
the
But like
water. I don't want to say the water's like evaporating inside the apple. I feel like it's something to do with water. That's what I'm gonna
maybe.
say about
Yeah,
that.
I don't know cuz like I bit into a Macoun and that literally tasted like an apple pie when I bit into it. And I was
Right.
like, "Oh my god."
Just nutted on the spot.
Yeah.
Okay, so the top 10 apple producing states.
Oh, I have it pulled up, but you go
I
ahead.
need you on this Fuji fact for me.
Okay.
The top 10 apple producing states are Washington,
Yep.
New York, Michigan, Pennsylvania, California, Virginia, North Carolina, Oregon, Idaho, and Ohio.
I think
So it's mostly the coast.
Interesting.
Yeah, so this article I have it's over 10 years old, granted, but this says Washington produces over half of the US's apples. Or
God
then
damn.
it goes to New York and then Michigan.
That I feel like that makes sense. I mean, there's more forests and like
Washington's a massive fucking state. Like there's a
Also
lot
that,
of
yeah.
variety there.
okay.
So
And
I
then
think that makes sense.
you find the sugar content in Fuji?
I did. It was 23 grams,
Really?
which is more than Honeycrisp, which is at 19.
I
You
think
cannot taste that. Like I don't know why the Honeycrisp just tastes so much sweeter.
I think it's
I
because
agree.
it's more apple forward than the
Right.
Honeycrisp is. It's because that is, you don't think about that as being a factor, but if I'm sure if you had them side by side, like two like ideal apples, and try and be like, okay, this is more appley, whereas this one is less appley, so you can taste the sweetness more, and it's more front.
So next week we're doing a blind apple taste. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I will
With
say
60 apples.
in a
oh
few weeks,
God, that's way too many apples.
in a few weeks you're going to Dayton's place for back in Michigan for the cider squeeze. Now, do you know Dayton what variety of apple we're gonna be working with here?
We get a mix. So contrary to what Joseph said, a lot of people actually think that the ciders that are made with a blend of apples taste better because you get a more even flavor profile.
Yeah.
So like with Honeycrisp, you get a lot of like just like that sweet sugary taste. But if you miss out on apples like your Red Delicious and stuff like that, then it doesn't taste like an apple cider really. So yeah, we use
We'll
a
also do
mix
some
of
tests.
different
We'll do some
apples.
experiments.
Yeah, I mean we can go to the orchard too. We can go to a few different orchards if we want to, and
Cranes.
Dude, Cranes is the big one. Yeah, but I'm
Oh yeah,
excited.
that's awesome. Well, we ran out of time to our other one. Maybe I'll save that maybe for another episode, because that possibly be another heated discussion. Um, but yeah, thank you everyone for listening to this week. As always, you can find our show on YouTube and podcast services. Follow us on Instagram and Twitch. Links are in the description. But until next time, thanks for watching. Bye.
Bye.